Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals parting ways has set tongues wagging across the NFL. And when you combine that with anonymous player feedback from the NFLPA report cards that rated owner Michael Bidwill the worst in the league, this situation gets very interesting. Murray, his teammates, and the people around the organization have had plenty to say. And what happened between Murray and Bidwill after the release has added another layer to an already messy divorce. So the Cardinals have now informed Kyler Murray that he is being released, and what happened between him and the ownership before, during, and after that decision is worth examining from the start. On March 3, 2026, the Cardinals informed Murray they are releasing him at the start of the new league year. According to NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport, Murray cannot officially be released until March 11th, the start of the new league year. The news, while seismic, was not a surprise. Murray's release can become official on March 11th and is a parting that could be seen coming from as early as the end of the 2024 season, a point at which the sentiment in Arizona seemed to shift toward requiring Murray to prove he was still worth the lucrative deal he signed in 2022. Before the media even got the story out, Murray himself broke the news. Murray issued a farewell message on social media just before the news broke. He posted on X saying, "To everyone that supported me and showed kindness to my family and I during my time in Arizona, from the bottom of my heart, thank you." He continued, "I wanted nothing more than to be the one to end the 77-year drought for this organization. I'm sorry I failed us." Those words carry weight. Murray referenced the 77-year championship drought that has followed the Cardinals franchise, one of the longest in professional sports. He took responsibility for not ending it, even though he is far from the only person accountable for the franchise's lack of success. He also added, "I am no stranger to adversity. I am prepared for whatever's next. I trust in God and my work ethic." Murray had not spoken publicly since after a loss to the Titans in Week 5, so this social media post was his first public communication in months. And it came on his terms, before the team could control the narrative. Now, leading up to the release, Arizona Sports' John Gambadoro adds, "The team explored all options to trade Murray at the Combine, but those conversations did not go anywhere. So the Cardinals tried to get something in return first. They tried to trade him. No one bit. And so they informed Murray he would be released instead." From Murray's side, the release was actually the preferred outcome. According to Fox Sports, quarterback Kyler Murray wants the Arizona Cardinals to cut him over trading him so he can enter free agency. Murray's camp feels that he'll be the top QB on the market if he hits free agency. A release is the preferred outcome for Murray, who will have the freedom to choose his second NFL employer once the Cardinals officially cut him. On the other hand, it's less than ideal for the team. Along with receiving no compensation for Murray, Arizona will take on a mammoth amount of dead money. How much dead money? Ossenfort believes it's in the Cardinals' best interest to shed Murray's contract and his $19.5 million salary that would have been fully guaranteed on the 5th day of the upcoming new league year, except the dead cap hit of $54.7 million for 2026, and close the book on Murray's chapter. That is a $54.7 million dead cap charge for a player who will not be on your roster. For context, Murray was already guaranteed $36.8 million for 2026 and would have been guaranteed another $19.5 million for 2027 if he was still on the roster March 16th, which is the 5th day of the 2026 league year. So the Cardinals had to make this move before March 16th to avoid paying him even more. And for Murray, the financial reality is interesting too. Murray will generate interest on the open market from teams seeking experienced starters. The fact he'll cost them only the veteran minimum makes him that much more attractive. He already has his guaranteed money. Any team that signs him will only have to pay the vet minimum. So his next team gets a former #1 pick, a 2-time Pro Bowler, for the price of a practice squad player. That is a bargain. The question at this point becomes, how did it get to this? How did a franchise that invested $230.5 million in a quarterback reach a place where they are eating over $54 million just to get rid of him? To understand that, you have to go back to the beginning. Expectations were high in Arizona when Murray entered the NFL in 2019 as the Heisman Trophy winner and #1 pick. He joined former Cardinals coach Cliff Kingsbury, who ran an offense that Murray had experience running since he was in 8th grade. This is important. Murray and Kingsbury were not strangers. They had a shared history. Murray ran similar concepts going back to his youth football days through Texas A&M, where Kingsbury recruited him, and then at Oklahoma, where Murray won the Heisman. The Cardinals bet that this connection would translate, and early on it did. Murray arrived in Arizona with huge expectations after winning the Heisman Trophy at Oklahoma in 2019, and at times he delivered. He was the AP Offensive Rookie of the Year, providing multiple electrifying highlights such as the so-called Hail Murray in 2020, when he connected with DeAndre Hopkins for a game-winning touchdown against the Buffalo Bills on the final play of the game. That play, the Hail Murray, became one of the most iconic moments in recent NFL history. It was a last-second heave into the end zone against the Bills, with Hopkins pulling it down over 3 defenders. It put Murray on the map as one of the most exciting players in the league. He made 2 Pro Bowls, 2020-2021, and completed 67.1% of his passes for 20,460 yards, with 121 touchdowns and 60 interceptions. Those Pro Bowl seasons cemented Murray as a franchise quarterback. The pinnacle of his Cardinals tenure came in 2021, when the team jumped out to a 10-2 record by early December, but Arizona faded down the stretch, losing 4 of its final 5 games, before getting bounced by the Los Angeles Rams 34-11 in the wild-card round. That 2021 season was a roller coaster. The Cardinals were the talk of the NFL through the first 3 months. They started 7-0. They looked like Super Bowl contenders. And then it fell apart. The late season collapse and the wild card loss to the Rams, in which Murray finished the day completing just 19 of 34 pass attempts for 137 passing yards and no touchdowns to 2 interceptions, left a stain on the season that the franchise never washed off. But despite the ugly ending, Murray had still led the Cardinals to the playoffs for the first time in years. In the 2022 offseason, following a swift first-round exit to the Los Angeles Rams in the playoffs, Murray and the Cardinals entered contract negotiations. The star QB did end the franchise's 6-year playoff drought at the time and wanted compensation, but the team seemingly didn't trust him. And that is where the relationship between Murray and the Cardinals, specifically the ownership, started to crack. Before the extension was signed, Murray made a move that got everyone's attention. When Kyler Murray took the time to completely delete any and all traces of the Arizona Cardinals from his, that's something you pay attention to. It's been a big deal around these parts that quarterback Kyler Murray deleting all but 2 posts on his Instagram account might be about sending a message to the franchise. Based on how his current and former teammates responded to questions about what it all could mean, it can be assumed there's something there. This was February 2022. Murray wiped his Instagram. The Cardinals, in an unusual and somewhat playful response, the Cardinals' social media team, followed in K1's lead and deleted all but 2 posts to the team Instagram account. They framed it as solidarity, but it was clear there was tension underneath. A report on Thursday night indicated that the Cardinals and quarterback Kyler Murray were on good terms, despite some signs that the relationship wasn't in a great place earlier this month. I spoke to him last night. We've had good conversations nonstop. Eventually, Murray signed a 5-year, $230.5 million contract, with $160 million guaranteed in the summer of 2022. But the honeymoon from that deal did not last. Here is where it gets ugly. The Cardinals signed Murray to $230.5 million 5-year deal in 2022 with $160 million guaranteed, but the honeymoon after that commitment was short-lived. A few weeks after signing the deal, the franchise removed a strange clause in his contract, which mandated 4 hours of independent study during game weeks. The kerfuffle called into question Murray's work ethic, and his relationship with the franchise was never quite the same. Think about that for a moment. You are paying a man $230.5 million to be your franchise quarterback, and in the contract, you insert a clause that says he must study game film for at least 4 hours per week. The implication was clear. The organization was questioning whether Murray, a Heisman Trophy winner and 2-time Pro Bowler, was doing enough preparation on his own. Murray himself addressed it. The removal of the language comes after Murray held a surprise press conference earlier Thursday, discussing the clause and calling it disrespectful and almost a joke. The Cardinals eventually walked it back. The team released a statement Thursday evening saying that the clause in Murray's contract became a distraction. They said, "It was clearly perceived in ways that never intended, but the damage was done." And here is where the story gets even deeper, because the contract itself, and how the Cardinals negotiated it, became the subject of an NFLPA collusion grievance. The secret ruling on a 2022 grievance case filed by the NFLPA was publicly revealed June 24th. The contents of the ruling revealed collusion that could end up costing Arizona Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray over $70 million on his current contract. What was revealed? While Murray's extension was being negotiated, the Cleveland Browns acquired quarterback Deshaun Watson from the Houston Texans and gave him a fully guaranteed $230 million contract. That Watson deal set a new standard for quarterback contracts. Murray's agent felt his client deserved the same. But the Cardinals, and specifically owner Michael Bidwill, had other ideas. Texts between Bidwill and Chargers owner Dean Spanos were revealed in the arbiter's ruling. After Murray signed his deal, Bidwill texted Spanos, "These QB deals are expensive. but we limited the fully guaranteed money and have some pretty good language." And in an earlier text to then General Manager Steve Keem, Bidwill texted Keem, apparently referring to Murray, "We are going to load up this contract with so many incentives to earn the real money." The text exchange indicates that Bidwill was actively discussing a lower payday for Murray with other owners in the league, leading to accusations that owners have been working together to keep guarantees lower league-wide. Murray's agent, Eric Burkhart, reportedly testified that the Cardinals made it very clear to me for months that the fully guaranteed Watson deal market was a non-starter for them. He explained that Murray ultimately signed a deal that was not fully guaranteed because of what he described as the sandbox he was essentially forced to play in. Despite the damning text exchanges between owners and the acknowledgement of collusion to suppress guarantees, the NFL will not face any financial consequences. This is a surprise to many, as the arbitrator for the case, Christopher Droney, confirmed that the NFL Management Council encouraged teams to limit guaranteed contracts. So to summarize, the Cardinals gave Murray a $230.5 million deal. They put in a study clause that embarrassed him. The contract was not fully guaranteed, and there is evidence that the owner was boasting to other owners about limiting Murray's guarantees. And the NFLPA found that collusion was contemplated and invited, but the NFL avoided punishment. Murray was caught in the middle. He signed the deal. He showed up, and things only got worse from there. After signing the massive extension, Murray tore his ACL against the New England Patriots in 2022, which caused him to miss the rest of that season and a big chunk of the 2023 schedule. That ACL tear changed everything. The 2022 season collapsed. Coach Cliff Kingsbury was fired after the 2022 season, and Gannon was hired to replace him. General Manager Steve Keem also resigned. The entire regime that drafted Murray and signed him to his deal was gone. The new front office was led by General Manager Monty Ossenfort and head coach Jonathan Gannon. Cardinals General Manager Monty Ossenfort was not part of the organization. When Murray signed a 5-year, $230 million extension in July 2022, this matters. The people now running the Cardinals had no personal stake in making the Murray investment work. They inherited him. And from the start, there were signs. They viewed him as someone else's mistake. Murray made his way back from the injury midway through 2023. With a new front office and coaching staff running the show, the return showed promise. He turned in his first full season in 4 years in 2024, completing 68.8% of his throws for 3,151 yards and 21 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. He scored 5 times and added another 572 yards on 78 carries. The Gannon-Murray relationship showed some promise in 2024, when the Cardinals improved to 8-9 and were in the playoff hunt until the final few weeks of the season. So in 2024, with Murray healthy for a full season, the Cardinals had their first competitive year in a while. They improved from 4-13 to 8-9. They were in the playoff conversation. Things were looking up. Then came 2025, and everything fell apart. Murray played in just 5 games last season, throwing for 962 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, before suffering a foot injury. The Cardinals initially thought Murray would only miss a few weeks, but backup Jacoby Brissett played well in his absence, creating a quarterback controversy. When Arizona chose to proceed with Brissett over Murray, using Murray's foot injury as an explanation, it felt like a soft benching of Murray, who landed on injured reserve in early November. And then came a moment that many believed the organization used to embarrass Murray. The organization decided to embarrass Murray in his home state by making it seem he was ready to play on national TV Monday night, but on the day of switched him to an emergency backup. Arizona won the game, and many members of the franchise took the opportunity to take victory laps, as they saw it as proof that Murray was the problem. Granted, that game would remain the Cardinals' only remaining win of the season, losing 9 straight. After missing 3 games, Murray was able to practice some in the late stages of the rehab. He ended up on injured reserve on November 5. Once he was eligible to return, however, Gannon ultimately said the QB would remain on the list for the balance of the season. The Cardinals finished with a 3-14 record and fired coach Jonathan Gannon. Now here's the interesting thing. In place of Murray, quarterback Jacoby Brissett took the offense a step further, completing 64.9% of his passes for 366 passing yards and 23 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Despite Brissett getting more out of the offense, he posted a 111 mark as a starter last year. Read that again. Brissett had better raw passing numbers than Murray, but his record was 111. Murray, with a shorter sample, was 2-3. The team was bad regardless of who was under center, and the defense was a massive problem. Throughout his career, Murray has never had a top 10 defense, and when head coach Jonathan Gannon and Ossenfort took over, the defense went downhill. From 2023 to 2025, Arizona has had the 31st, 15th, and 29th scoring defense in the NFL. After the season, after Murray and backup quarterback Jacoby Brissett combined for a 314 mark, Cardinals owner Michael Bidwill retained Ossenfort, but fired Gannon. Gannon was fired and Murray was obviously next on the chopping block. Bidwill surprisingly decided to keep Ossenfort, which might have been because the two share the same opinion on moving on from Murray. Since that day, Murray's name became taboo during any press conference. With Bidwill, Ossenfort, or new head coach Mike LaFleur. So here's the real confrontation. It is not Murray walking into Michael Bidwill's office and getting into a shouting match. It is something more systematic and in some ways more damaging. The NFLPA's 2026 team report cards have been released, and they're already stirring conversation across the league. As always, the anonymous player feedback offers a revealing look inside each organization. This time, comments tied to Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals have drawn particular notice, placing owner Michael Bidwill back under the spotlight because of the grade he received. That left Bidwill as the only owner in the league to receive an F, the only one. Last year, he got a D. So it got worse. Cardinals players rated him 590 out of 10 when it came to investing in team facilities, which ranked 31st out of 32 owners. They felt he did a decent job contributing to a positive team culture and showed some commitment to building a winning team, but clearly there was room for improvement. But this year, Kyler Murray and company didn't hold back. While the Cardinals implied Murray was their issue, the NFLPA report card leak saw the Cardinals ranked 31st out of 32 with F grades for its locker room and team ownership. The NFLPA's summary of the Cardinals was direct. According to the report card, players also faulted owner Michael Bidwill, saying he slightly contributes to a positive team culture and is only somewhat committed to building a competitive team. That is a confrontation, not a physical one, not a behind-closed-doors screaming match, but a documented league-sanctioned channel where Murray and his teammates looked at the organization and said, "This is not good enough." Cardinals owner Michael Bidwill has faced repeated criticism tied to previous report cards, from reports of players being charged for meals to complaints about outdated or inadequate facilities. The team has been using the same practice facility since it moved to the Valley in the early 1990s. Think about that. A practice facility from the 1990s. In a league where teams like the Dallas Cowboys, Miami Dolphins, and Minnesota Vikings have state-of-the-art complexes. The Cardinals are working out of a building that is over 30 years old. Even Hall of Famer Chris Carter has called out Bidwill and the ownership group for their awful decision-making. When Bidwill was asked about his grade, he said, "Well, feedback's a gift." He pivoted to discussing a new performance center. The team plans to open in 2028. A big part of this is a new performance center, which the Arizona Cardinals hope to open in 2028. But 2028 is 2 years away. And for Murray, it is irrelevant. He is gone. When you step back and look at the full picture, there is a real question about who failed whom here. Since 2020, the franchise is 525 without Murray and 33-38 with him, which is a nearly 300 improvement. That number is telling. The Cardinals are a much worse team without Murray than they are with him. The recently NFLPA grade F-rated owner Bidwill has inadvertently and advertently used Murray as a constant crutch for why the team never succeeded. While Arizona since 2019 has only drafted one Pro Bowler, gone through 2 head coaches, never had a top 10 defense, only top 10 in spending twice, and constantly rated as one of the worst-run organizations in football via NFLPA. Murray exits Arizona with a record of 38-48-1 in the regular season, and the Cardinals made the playoffs once. They never won a playoff game, but he also exits as a record holder. Murray leaves after 7 seasons and 87 games, all starts. Despite playing only 5 games this season, he finished with more games played than any other Arizona QB. More than Jake Plummer, more than Kurt Warner, more than Carson Palmer. He is third all-time in franchise history with 20,460 passing yards, behind Jim Hart and Neil Lomax. ESPN notes that Murray, a former Heisman Trophy winner, has over 20,000 passing yards and more than 2,000 rushing yards so far in his career, a feat that only 2 others have accomplished. Former Carolina Panthers QB Cam Newton and Buffalo Bills QB Josh Allen. And now Murray is about to enter free agency. Some of the teams that ex-commenters suggested for Murray's next landing spot included the struggling New York Jets and the Minnesota Vikings, where he could start in place of J.J. McCarthy. Minnesota has a strong chance of landing Murray, but DraftKings odds show the Jets as favorites. There is even an outside possibility of a completely different path. Kyler Murray was picked in the first round of the MLB draft. Before opting to play in the NFL, he was drafted number 9 overall in the 2018 MLB draft as an elite outfielder with the speed that he became renowned for in football. In a world where Murray wanted to flip back to baseball, he would not be a free agent. Even though he went pro in the NFL, the Athletics still retain his rights and could strike a deal with the famed signal caller. That is unlikely, but it speaks to just how talented this athlete is. He was a first-round pick in 2 different professional sports. That does not happen to ordinary players. As for the Cardinals, they move forward with a $54.7 million dead cap hit, a new head coach in Mike LaFleur, and the 3rd pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. They parted ways with head coach Jonathan Gannon after the season and hired Mike LaFleur as the new head coach. Arizona also holds the 3rd pick in April's NFL Draft. The confrontation between Murray and the Cardinals was never one big explosion. It was 7 years of slow erosion. It was a study clause that disrespected a Pro Bowl quarterback. It was an owner texting other owners about limiting his players' guaranteed money. It was a team that never gave its quarterback a top 10 defense. It was an NFLPA report card where players, including Murray, gave the organization a failing grade. And in the end, it was a farewell message where Murray said he was sorry he failed, while much of the evidence suggests the failure was not his alone. The Cardinals released Kyler Murray, but Murray and his teammates confronted the organization long before that happened. And the NFLPA report card is the receipt. Murray is gone from Arizona. What comes next for both sides will determine who was really holding whom back. But the numbers, the texts, the report cards, and the study clause paint a picture that a lot of people in the football world are now looking at with new eyes.